Hi, my name is Eliza Davidovit, and I'm welcoming you to Blonde and Beyond. Now I have with me my co-host, Judge Lee First, and we're here to present you today about the subject of sex and Judaism. Although it sounds like oxymorons, they very much go together, and we're going to show you how. Now, the judge is going to tell you a little bit about herself, but first I'm going to tell you why we call it Blonde and Beyond. Because we're blonde, because we're intelligent, because we're professionals, so get over it. We're smart too. Now, this is my co-host, Judge Lee First.
My name is Lee First, as you heard, and I'm the former supervising judge of the Workers' Compensation Board for the entire state of New York. I was in charge of 52 judges. I'm also the former president of the Metropolitan Women's Bar Association, and I am also blonde, and I have written a book, and the name of this book is Justice is Blonde.
As opposed to Justice is Blind.
As opposed to Justice is Blind. Because there was a man who came into my court. He lost the case. He was so aggravated. He said, Justice is Blonde. I thought that'd make a nice title for a book. And I wrote a book.
And love is blind too, but we'll get into love and sex and Judaism later. My name is Eliza, as I said, and I am former editor-in-chief of Celebrate magazine, which was a lifestyle magazine. In that capacity, I had many opportunities to interview celebrities such as Jackie Mason, Buddy Hackett, Ivana Trump. It was tremendous fun. I'm also a graduate student at the Columbia School of Journalism, and I also work at ABC News on the show 2020 for Connie Chung. And today we are going to talk to you a little bit about sex. We hope you can take it. We hope you weren't overdosed by the White House in Washington, but Judaism has something to say about sex too. So why don't you start that off?
First of all, you said love is blind. Love is blind, but marriage is an eye-opener. You understand? Now, what happened is there is so much to say about sex according to Jewish law.
Wait, this is public television. Can we say the word sex?
We can say the word.
Okay, we can say sex. Okay.
We can't have sex. You can even have it.
Oh, you're
if you
spoiling
go
my
on
whole
it late
fun.
at
Let's
night.
end the half hour now.
At any rate, you see, in Jewish law, they have spent so much attention describing sex that it's unbelievable. No other religion has spoken about it openly and publicly and directed you to enjoy sex. That is a good deed. To enjoy sex is a good deed. It's
And in the
known as a
Hebrew word,
mitzvah.
the Hebrew word for a good deed is mitzvah. And sex in Judaism is not regarded as a sin, as something dirty, as something awful. It's regarded as something very beautiful and something that we should embrace, but within the right context, both when you're single and when you're married.
Judaism does not believe in self-denial. Therefore, we take that which is mundane and make it holy. We can eat food. The act of eating, make it holy. We say a prayer. And drinking wine, you can become a drunk. But
there's certain things, no matter what you pray upon, are not kosher.
But when you take wine and you say a blessing on Friday night, you have made that wine holy. By the same token, you can take sex and you can make it holy. You know how, Elisa?
Let's hear.
By marriage. Kiddushim, which means holiness. When you're married and you have sex during the marriage, that is a holy act.
With your husband, with your spouse.
Your own husband, only with your own husband. I had a case before me, and this man had a heart attack at work, and the doctor testified. We said, Doctor, can this man still have sex? He said, only with his own wife. We don't want him to get excited. That happened in my court.
I don't want to hear what happened in your court.
All right, but you can have. Now, what are the duties that a husband has to a wife? Now, you tell the court.
Saks Fifth Avenue, Bloomingdale's. Oh no, there's others?
Bloomingdale's. Well, that's included. What are the 3 duties that a Jewish husband owes to his wife?
Well, these 3 duties are written in the ketubah. One is to clothe the wife. The next is to feed the wife. And the third is the conjugal rights of a wife. And then a man should service those needs. Not his own needs, but his wife's needs.
They only mention his wife's needs because a man, according to Jewish law, he will find a way to satisfy his sexual desire. We do not have to litigate it. We don't have to write it down how many times but for a wife, he owes his wife not only sex.
He owes her. No matter what a Jewish man does, he owes his wife.
He owes her the sex, but It tells you how many times a week he owes her, what position. We will all go into that. But first we must tell the joke. And that is, when you say it is a mitzvah to have sex, there was a man, he went to heaven, but God wouldn't let him in. He said, you know what? You never sinned. Therefore, you never did tshuva, which means you never repented. When you do not sin, you cannot have repentance. Therefore, you can never come into this heaven.
I know
But
this
I
joke.
will send you back to the earth, and there you can sin, and then maybe I will let you into heaven. So he goes down to earth and he finds the ugliest widow in town, and he says, okay, I'll have sex with her. Maybe it'll be a big sin.
Should I finish the
right?
joke? Should I kill it
No.
for you, or should I let you do it?
So then he comes. So anyway, he has sex with this ugly widow, and he feels, now I'm going back to heaven. He says goodbye to the widow. The widow says, oh, thank you. You don't know what a mitzvah you did. What a good deed you did. Because sex is a mitzvah,
No
so
matter
you'll
what-
never get to heaven.
No matter how many times I hear that joke.
That is a very good joke. That is a very good joke.
What a mitzvah.
I know, what a mitzvah. But you have a wonderful story to tell the court here, the audience.
The court.
The
Everything's
court,
court. for you.
everything
Don't
is
bring
court.
your gavel
Tell
down
the
on me.
audience
I'm not going to do
about
time.
the woman who was still a virgin, getting married for the fourth time.
For the fourth time?
Go ahead.
Okay. There was a woman who was married 4 times. She was still a virgin. The first time she was married to a poet, and all he wanted to do was write about it. The second person she was married to was a psychologist. All he wanted to do was talk about it. And the third was an analyst, and all he wanted to do was analyze it. Finally, thank God, the woman married a lawyer. She got screwed all the time. I'm married to a lawyer, and so is the judge. So.
And I have been a lawyer, we don't want to say, which reminds me, why are lawyers buried 20 feet deep when they die? Do you know why? Because deep down they're good people.
No, because everyone wishes them gay and dreared.
Okay, and I know. Anyway, we cannot
This is
digress.
about sex.
We are not
Okay,
speaking
we're
about
not
sex, not
digressing.
lawyers.
Because if we
lawyers-
digress, we'll fall into that blonde stereotype of,
No, we have to
mundane.
narrow the issue.
Okay.
The issue is sex.
Don't narrow it too much. It's
Okay,
more
let
exciting
us
when
determine.
it's better.
Let me
bigger.
ask you, how many times a week does a husband owe sex to his wife, according to Jewish law?
Well, I should have just told you this joke before, because if it would be a lawyer, you'd get it all the time.
That's right.
But it
how much does
actually,
he owe?
a man is committed to servicing his wife several times several times a week or a month, depending on what profession he is.
That's correct. Now, what is the profession? Let's say if he has an independent income, he must give his wife sex every single day.
And if not, compensate it with Saks Fifth Avenue.
That's right. However, now, suppose he's a laborer. He must give his sex twice a week. A sailor, once every 6 months.
Sailors.
Sailors.
A woman at
But
every
if a
port.
man has to go out of town on business, etc., he must always come back at least once a week to satisfy his wife.
So
Now,
basically, I'm
basically,
sorry to interrupt
that's
you.
good.
But basically what we're trying to tell you is that within Judaism, sex is not something that is shunned. It is something that's embraced, that's something that's appreciated, but it all has to be within the right context.
But it must always satisfy the wife.
I love that.
That's the wife, because we have to do it for the pleasure of the
I
wife.
bet we just converted a
Let
million
me
people
say
to
something
Judaism.
to the audience. There are 2 reasons why we must have sex directed against the man, and that is 1, procreation, and 2, ona, O-N-A-H, to satisfy your wife, to give her pleasure. As a matter of fact, when a boy first gets married, any young man, he does not go into the army for 1 year. He must stay home and pleasure his wife. That is the Jewish law. That's what we have to. However, like everything is directed for
After
the pleasure.
1 year, he's so happy to get out of the house, he runs.
They teach the man, in Jewish law, they teach the man everything, how much sex and how every position is permissible. But in other religions,
Hey, this is public access. I don't know if you can talk about things like that.
many religions, Elisa, they only allow the missionary position, as you read it in books, that the man must be on top of the girl. However, that is based upon the Bible, because the Bible gave 2 curses to Eve for giving him that apple to eat, and he listened. Was curse number 1, in pain you will have children. Curse number 2, Your husband will rule over you. This means your desire will be unto your husband. And only if he desires sex, if he is ready, can you have sex. And you will not initiate sex. Most women are much too humble, even today. It's usually the man who says, "Do you want
Even today, but Victoria's Secret has put a little bit of a,
I don't know.
reanalysis on that.
But even today, Aliza, most women wait for the husband. Therefore, not only must you make your wife happy, you must initiate sex the minute you
But
think
also,
that she wants it.
but the woman, she can give a little clues here and there, like the garter belt and stuff.
That's right. When he feels you gave a clue, then he must immediately oblige.
He has to respond. It's written within the contract of Judaism. Food, clothing, and sex.
When also must a man, in 3 instances, he must give sex to his wife. Before he goes on a business trip, because he feels she's going to miss out on the sex.
Yeah, he's worried about the milkman, but keep going, yeah.
Secondly, before she menstruates, because he knows that for 12 days, which we'll explain later, she will not be able to have sex. So therefore, the 3rd time is when she is pregnant, because she may not feel so desirable, and she may still want sex, because we allow sex even not for procreation, even when she is pregnant. So you
Never
must
mind when
give
she's
her.
pregnant, but when a woman is in menopause, it just reconfirms the notion that Judaism does not just agree upon sex for the sake of procreation, but also just as something to be enjoyed. It's something to reunite the flesh. A lot of people say that Judaism, you have to do it through the sheets. Even the non-Jews, hear about that fable, but it really is not true.
It
That
says-
Judaism has to be one flesh. A man and his wife have to be united in one flesh.
And they have to be naked if the wife so desires. One
Should I
flesh.
start now? No,
It
okay.
is written there that they should be naked if the wife desires. And I must tell you this joke. Did you hear about this man? He's married 25 years to the same woman, and he still finds
Poor
her,
man.
he still finds her entertaining, especially when he comes home unexpectedly. Well,
Well, I heard the flip side.
What
side
is it?
of a woman. She says, if I would die, what would you do with my diamond ring? Would you give it to your next wife? And he says, well, you wouldn't have much use for it there. Yeah, I would. Well, how about my mean coat? Well, yeah, maybe, yeah. And she keeps going through a whole thing, the house, the this and that. Finally, she gets, well, how about to my golf set? He says, oh, no, not your golf set. She's left-handed. He has plans.
now, what happened is, you see, this woman, she's married to this old man. He's
Is he rich?
85 years old, and she says, Sam, let's go upstairs and have sex. He says, I can't do both things.
Go up the stairs and have sex?
And anyway, someone went over to Mrs. Goldberg and said, Mrs. Goldberg, do you know your wife is having an affair? He said, I know when, I know with whom, I know where, but with what? I cannot tell you.
Okay, wait, let's make sure we're back on the issue about sex and Judaism. What did we skip out? Did we talk about mikvah?
No, we didn't
We
cover
didn't
a
talk
lot
about
of
mikvah.
things.
Okay, so we spoke about Judaism, that Judaism embraces
And how
sex.
many times we spoke about.
How many
right?
times?
Depending
Okay.
on the occupation of the husband, that's how many times. Is this the minimum or the maximum? It's the minimum. The minimum
Listen, the
is
more the better,
Now, in Jewish law, a man is allowed to have as many wives as he desires, but the rabbis
As
felt
many as he can afford and as much mother-in-laws as he can
as he
tolerate.
can afford.
Okay.
However, the rabbis have limited it to 4, since you cannot really satisfy more than 5 wives.
But I heard King
sexually.
Solomon had 1,000 wives.
He had 1,000 wives. That's why at the end of his life, he went a little crazy. He wrote a book, Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs.
The Song of Songs.
The sorrow. It is better to die than to have lived. I mean, at the end, with all those wives, he should have been the happiest man in the world. And he said, among 1,000 women, I have not found one righteous one. But among 1,000 men, I have found one.
Oh, that's my
So,
husband,
You found the one.
Okay.
So I said to my father, who was a big rabbi, Let me ask you, how can we have that as part of our Bible? King Solomon saying, among 1,000 women, you didn't find one righteous one? My father said, that is done for the benefit of women. Every man, stay with your wife, because you will not find a righteous one. However, my girlfriend, she's married 4 times. She said, but Rabbi, we women, we can still look for that one righteous man.
You can't have him, he's online.
There's only one, that's it, yours, huh?
Okay, we still didn't get to the mikveh. I have to keep us on track here.
You want to speak
Otherwise,
about the
they'll
mikveh?
think we're blondes.
Okay, speak
Okay.
about the mikveh. Tell me what the mikveh is about, Elisa.
The mikveh is about separating from your husband when you're having your menstruation and 7 clean days afterward. And the Torah tells you that this is a time not when a woman is impure or a woman is dirty, but it is a time of renewal, of celebration of life, when you can reunite with your husband and in cherishing renewal of life and in having, I guess, incubation? Would that be the word? But
Well,
you
you're
can
supposed
enjoy
to
life.
have
with-
a mental relationship.
It's like the honeymoon all over again. You separate. You know, all psychologists will tell you it's good for your marriage. Stay away from your wife for a little bit, then come back, and you'll have a wonderful relationship. Judaism tells you this every month. Stay away for that time when you're impure. Come back together. And it's a reuniting, it's a refreshing, it's a reinvigorating of the whole marital experience.
It's not because the woman is dirty. Because some people who are like women's liberty say, what do you mean? Go to the mikveh? Mikveh is a body of water, rainwater that is collected, pure water. Now, many religions, the Catholics, they use water to dunk for purification. Water
true.
represents purity.
Absolutely.
A new life. Water represents life, too, in many religions, in ours also. So therefore, we go to the mikveh, we come back, we are a new person, a new cycle in that month, you know?
And I have to tell you, maybe I shouldn't say this on public access, but coming back again after the mikveh really is, I mean, I was as scared as I was when I was a bride. I mean, each time you come back, it's like, oh my God, I haven't been with this person for 12 days at least. And it's a really invigorating and it's a strengthening experience for a marriage.
But you're supposed to have a relationship mentally during that period. You're
Mental.
supposed to be
Mental,
friends.
I'm always mental.
Always mental. You're supposed to be friends, you know, and have
Yeah,
a
you know,
relationship.
that time when you're not allowed to be with your husband, it really allows you time to talk, to speak about issues. I mean, what do we have in common? You know, what can we fight about? What can we talk
That
about?
reminds me, during intercourse, according to Jewish law, you are not supposed to speak to each other about anything but eros, E-R-O-S. Only sexual thoughts have allowed to enter. You cannot say, why didn't you do this, or the
Hey, you
ceiling
know,
needs painting.
I heard a lot of
the
things
ceiling
about your
needs painting."
generation, but
Yes.
I got to tell you, it's getting better as the moments go by.
You are not allowed to think, and the husband too. Of course, you're not allowed to fight during
No,
sex.
if you have a
know
fight
that.
with your wife, you're not allowed to initiate sex. It has to be within a happy and a purifying, in a very positive context.
If the wife is sleeping, you are not allowed to have sex with her, because then, as
I thought they were
said,
sleeping the whole time,
The
no?
whole sex act, the whole
Unless the
sex
credit
act
card is by the
yeah, no.
bedside.
The whole sex act is to make the wife happy. If she has a headache, if she's ill, you are not allowed to have sex with her. When I was in Israel, there was a big law case. In Israel, they keep the Jewish law, where the woman sued the husband, you know?
She sued the husband.
Yes, because you're not allowed to rape your own wife. He
Well,
was
that's not
convicted
just
of
in
raping
Israel.
his
I mean,
wife.
that's secular
I know,
law as
that's
well.
an unbelievable thing. Because why? Because she wasn't ready. She had a headache. So that's what happened in Israel. Now, my brother, I asked him, now what's going on here? How many times does a husband owe sex to the wife? My brother's also
He
a rabbi.
always owes. I told you
know
that
what he
before.
said? You know what he said? There's frequency, there's infrequency, there's high infidelity. It's very funny, you know.
That's terrible.
But I'll tell you, when I was in Israel a few years ago, there was a woman, she sued her husband that he did not give her enough sex. And the court heard the case, which was the most ridiculous thing. So far as I could see, in America, they would not have that.
You never know.
And the court awarded her a get. A get means a divorce, because he didn't give
It also
enough.
means
Get.
get the hell out of here.
I know. So my brother always says, as I always say to my wife, give or get. A get means a divorce. You
You know, it's not only within marriage that restrictions, come in. It's also in the single life that a man and a woman are not allowed to be alone together in a room. They're not allowed.
Because it might lead to...
And it's not because Judaism denies sexuality and thinks as it is something negative. It's because it recognizes, the very fact that people have desires. And,
That's right.
A man and a woman, you never know what they can get into behind closed doors.
There's no such thing as a platonic relationship.
Why? You never saw that movie, Sally Met Harry?
I could see any movie, it doesn't matter. Because there is no such thing. Now, what I want to tell you, speaking about premarital sex, I asked the rabbi, do you believe in premarital sex? You know what he said? As long as it doesn't hold up the ceremony. You know this joke, what's the difference between an Orthodox wedding and a Reform wedding and a conservative wedding? These are the 3 degrees of Judaism. You know that, right? Orthodoxy, conservative, Reform.
Let's get to the punchline.
Now, in a Reform wedding, the bride is pregnant. Right?
Okay.
And the conservative, I know, the Orthodox, the mother is pregnant, the mother or the bride is pregnant because they always have a baby.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, I know. In an Orthodox, the mother is pregnant. In a conservative, the bride is pregnant. In a Reform, the rabbi is pregnant. Because they now have female rabbis, right? You see? So we wish to continue with sex, right?
Sex? Continue with sex? Hello, yeah.
That's right. With the positions in sex, which
positions.
I already said. Position
Well, what's your
is
position?
Everything. Position
on sex?
is everything.
Okay.
Now, what is foreplay to a Jewish wife? 1 hour of begging.
You mean from the husband's part, right?
Now, I want to tell you that with regard to women, there's not much said as to when they should have sex, etc. They leave that, according to Jewish law, to the mothers to teach their daughters about sex. So there's not
to their mothers?
To their own mothers who in the privacy can teach them. So there was this mother.
In their own privacy. I can't see my mother teaching me about sex.
There was this mother. She said, listen, darling, tomorrow you will get married. And you know what? The first night you will take off your clothes and you will go to the bed. So the girl looks at the mother, Ma, screwing I know. Teach me how to cook. This is today's world, you can't teach your children anything. They teach you.
Absolutely.
They know more. Well, you're another generation, you know more than I know.
How do you know that?
I know only from books. I read about, I study these books, What is Sex? It's a most fascinating study, because we do not believe in self-denial. The Jewish religion does not believe in celibacy, self-denial. As a matter of fact,
the opposite, completely in every sense.
And to have sex for procreation means you are creating a child in the image of God. Man is created in the image of God.
Absolutely.
Therefore, in the chain of creation, you are creating another image of God. Godliness, you're bringing godliness into the world because a baby represents godliness.
No, but even what's beautiful about Judaism is that physicality. I mean, people would think physicality, in many religions, physicality is the low, is the mundane. But in Judaism, physicality is the only way to serve God. God gives you the body to make the prayers, to go to shul, to do things with your body to serve Him, to serve your soul. And it's the same thing with sexuality. I mean, the body is very much involved, but you're emulating God.
But even
if you're not involved in creation, I heard something very interesting from a rabbi, that the sky is like the man and the ground is like the woman. And the sky brings down the rain, it brings down the possibility and the kind of the ammunition for fruition, and the woman allows the growth and has all the substance for growth. So it's bringing together the earth and the skies, the man and the woman, and that's the potential, the seeds of creation.
We in Jewish law have a law that if a man, we've had also people who believed in self-denials, they call that a Nazir. Someone, he doesn't cut his hair and he lives alone up in the woods, like a monk. That person must bring a sacrifice because that person has committed a sin. Because to separate yourself from the world and say, here I am so perfect, that's easy. We have to interact, we have to enjoy with other people. That's the only way. That's what God wants us to do, not separate yourself.
No, I don't remember which parasha, and I should, which section of the portion, of the Torah portion, but God says, make yourself an altar of earth. Now, what is this? God, who's, the Almighty God, tells you, make yourself an altar of earth? It's because man has to find God here on earth. You can't go into the skies to find God. God didn't tell you, come up to the skies to take my Torah. He brought you up to the mountainsides to take his Torah and to live the Torah here on life. Live Judaism here on life. Bring it into your life. Absorb it into your very existence.
You mentioned the word earth. You see, when Adam was created, he was asked to name all the animals. And he named each animal according to what their activity was. And he named a donkey chamor, a heavy burden. He named a horse that it should run fast. He named every animal according to their activity. So God said, Adam, what are you going to name yourself? He said, I will name myself Adam. Adam. God
Which
said,
means earth?
Adam, that's earth? That's nothing. Adam said, yes, man is nothing. Man can be a desert or man can bloom. It is only what he makes of himself.
A little bit, in that interpretation, it says, let us make man. What do you mean, let us make man? There's a plural there, not let I make man, let me make man, but us. Why? Because man, in conjunction with God, is a participant in his own creation. Man makes of himself what he wants to be.
It's exactly the same idea. That man
can
make of himself. Man can make of himself what he wants. But
could be something or nothing at all.
Right, can be nothing.
But one day you come before your Maker, and what does God say to you?
What did you do with your life?
He doesn't ask you, why were you not like Moses? Why were you not like Abraham? He doesn't ask you all these very esoteric, complex questions. He says, why were you not like you? Because I gave you your own capacities, your own talents. Why did you not make of yourself what you could be?
That's when he said to Adam in the Garden of Eden, where are you, Adam? Where are you? Where's the true you? Every person has their own potential to live up to. But since we only spoke about sex today,
we have to bring it back to sex?
must be preceded by love.
I love diverting.
We are going to speak about love the next time.
Okay, that's next time. No, we're still at this time.
Love. You cannot have sex without love. You have to have a relationship between a man and a woman. They say many years ago, having a good relationship in my era meant getting along with your cousins.
I have so many cousins. That's a very hard task.
I mean, having a good relationship, I mean, today everyone has a relationship. Are you married? No, but I have a relationship, correct?
Absolutely.
However, we think, Jewish people, the Orthodox, that if you're living with someone, that's equal to marriage. Because having sex with someone can be like a common law marriage.
But today, it's, let's try it out. Let's see if we can live together, if we can sleep together, if we can this and that. Everything's a dress rehearsal. But Judaism is not a dress rehearsal. You go in for the real thing, and you give it all you've got. And statistics show that those who have tried the dress rehearsal will live together, will practice. I mean, the divorce results have been, it's just terrible. It's really terrible.
I just want to tell you one more thing. That man is not complete until he's married. And then he's finished.
You got that joke from my husband. He knows. He's over. He's done with.
He's been finished. I understand that.
It really was wonderful to speak about these subjects. I just feel like I could speak so much more. Unfortunately, we only have a half an hour. I mean, do you have anything to say to just sum it up that you had on your heart?
No. Except that is kosher sex. There's a guy who
kosher.
Kosher sex.
Kosher.
That's a very cute title because have the sex according to Jewish law, it'll be kosher sex, That's the way to live.
So you need a prayer from a rabbi?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay, we would like to thank you so much for joining us at Blonde and Beyond. We hope you really enjoyed it. And hopefully next week or next month, that you will join us again in Blonde and Beyond to discuss some aspect of Judaism that pertains to you in the real world.
Maybe love or marriage.
Maybe love or marriage.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.